Let's have ourselves a show here on a Monday, joined by Patrick Peterson, who's probably in a great mood because all these quarterbacks keep turning over the ball. 2 picks for Herbert, Daniel Jones. We'll get into Jackson Dart. Of course, I'm going to talk quarterbacks with the cornerback. Also tonight, how about Bengals Broncos? We'll ask him about Patrick Surtain. Of course, facing off and squaring off against Jamar Chase, the Jake Browning of it all. So much to get to. And wow, lots of upsets, lots of crazy games coming down to a final possession. Let's do it. Wild, back-to-back wild Sundays in the NFL. It wraps up tonight. We got a little doubleheader action, which Hamilton, we gotta be done with these doubleheaders, I think.
Yeah, especially when the games are on at the same time. I don't like it as much. I did enjoy the 7 p.m., 10 p.m. one that we got a couple weeks ago with the Chargers in that late window. I like having those games separated.
What does the cat think about tonight's does he think that Jamar Chase will have another 100-yard game like he did last time against the Broncos, or what?
I mean, he's all in on the Bengals, obviously.
Obviously. Hey, that makes sense. I'm trying to think. I have to say, I'm in New York. I don't know how I ever lived here with the games. I don't know how. I mean, I have not slept a wink, and I know. But to me, I couldn't, the 11, I can't. It's not even that. It gave Good Morning Football. How did we do that? And then when the game ends, especially you can't fall asleep. You're stewing. You want to get your thoughts together. You have to. I don't know how I ever did it, and it might be the one thing that I hate about New York versus LA. I'm living large on that for Granny Adams. I'm living large, enjoying those early games. We have so much to get to, so let's do it. 9 games came down to a final possession. We'll get my thoughts. I'll give you 3-time All-Pro Patrick Peterson. I promise you'll ask him the best possible questions with the hottest topics around the league. Brock Purdy included, but man, 15-hour day of football yesterday. It all started in Dublin. I think we're all collectively hungover. It's still a doubleheader to go tonight. But let's get to this with the Packers Cowboys, okay? We're all so excited. Overtime thriller. Everyone but me happy that it goes into overtime. And it had all the fireworks. It had drama. It was exciting. But to only end in a tie, I'm not one. I don't even hardly know the rules, but we got to fix these rules, right? We got to tweak the overtime situation again, because it was so anticlimactic after so incredible 4 quarters. No one even knew what to do when that kick went in, right? Mike Tirico was Mike Tirico is always fluffing it up and making it fireworks. He's okay, so I guess that's it. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for both teams having a chance to have the ball. It's the time, though. You have to extend back the overtime time. It cannot just be 10 minutes. And I know that that's hypocritical because I'm asking for more time to a game, but I live in LA now, so I can handle that. Also, it's actually let's, never mind. Let's not do that. In all seriousness, guys, the league has done an incredible job of adjusting and course correcting over the years, but this is the next step. Are you with me? Are you with me on extending to have as few ties as possible? And I will say, with the Packers, it wasn't a tie. They did not tie this game. This was your biggest loss of the season. Whatever losses you might have along the way, this is your biggest loss. Stupid big L for these Packers. Hated to see it. What is with the defense? All the questions we'll ask Patrick Peterson. I'm seeing all the indictments left and right. The way the game started, the way they managed those last 2 minutes of overtime. This is a game you have to win. It was huge. The big storylines, obviously a big spot. NFC, come on. I know it's early, but I'm wondering, why does this team feel different outside of Lambeau? Lions game feels like it was a very long time ago. As we head into another thing I'm worried about or concerned about is a week 5 bye. I understand it's a small sample size, but seeing them cough up a 4th quarter lead to the Browns last week and then struggle to get the Cowboys off the field last night, when they were so dominant against 2 of the best teams in the league at home, this makes me sort of wonder. It's a thing that makes me go, Cowboy side, Shoddy has his offense looking as good as it's ever during the Dak era. That is my takeaway. Last night, this season, this is the best offense that Dak Prescott has been a part of. Challenge me on that. Am I wrong? What other offense at Up and Adam Show, you let me know. Gutsy performance. They pull off, having this tie after being down 13-0. It looked like the Packers were about to blow the roof off of Jerry World. And listen, I know that the defense isn't great. It's not a top defense. For Dak to do what he did without CD, Pickens steps into that number one receiver role, being the star that we know that he is. There was just no quit in these boys last night. And so I'm not going to quit on them. That's, I think, my takeaway here. Not only do they look the best offensively, but they've got a little something in them. And maybe it was the narrative last night and everything was against them going into the game. So I'm sure that they were like, they had a little something extra in them. But I'm not writing off the Cowboys season with how good this offense looks. And this is one of the toughest stretches of their schedule. They're alive, baby. And they have the Jets. I think they have the Panthers, who looked awful this weekend over the next 2 weeks. So those are their matchups. Then they have the Commanders. Hope, we'll see what happens with Jaden here. But their defense yesterday was the big story. Hamilton texted me nonstop about the Commanders' defense. Their defense doesn't look much better than the Cowboys, does it? At least not now. So can they claw their way back into the NFC playoff picture in a hurry? Yes, I'm not writing them off. Huge loss in a tie for the Packers. And I think that the Cowboys are alive in the NFC. Okay, let's get to Chiefs Ravens. You can't let them come back like this. You can't let the Chiefs just get it done. And now they're gonna feel themselves, and now they're gonna get Rasheed back. And then all of you idiots who are saying that they're done, that their magic is gone, are gonna look stupid. And that's what happens. And that's what Freezing Cold takes is for dominant win by the Chiefs. And it's very clear. The headline for me is, man, do we not pencil in or not factor in the calculus of how important Xavier Worthy is to this offense? We're all Rasheed, when he's the savior and he's whatever, but is it Xavier and what happens when he leaves versus when he's there? Check this out. He put up 118 yards in his first game back. He led Kansas City in rushing. He had the deep ball going with Patrick. It was a lot bigger than that, though. His presence on that field changed so much, even when he wasn't getting the ball. There were motions, there were shifts, there were boogies, there were jigs, there were all sorts of things. There was so much eye candy to look at. The Ravens had to pay attention to him. They have to cover his ability, his speed, of course. And you saw it create mismatches for Juju and Travis and Hollywood as a result. He's sort of, I think it's Ivan was oh, Rasheed. It's Worthy. I think it's Worthy. It's not a coincidence that everyone was lifted. Everyone had their best game with Worthy back in that lineup. And the offense is fully back. I will say, oh my gosh, we'll get into this with Patrick Peterson. Spag is the dog, man. Spags had this defense. They're on another level. They're unbelievable. We'll save that for our guest. As for the Ravens, I'm seeing tweets of lists of injuries. And I get that. They're such a real thing. And now Lamar on that with they got through a brutal stretch of their matchup. I think it loosens up a little bit. We can look at the schedule maybe. I'm tired of Derrick Henry finishing games with fewer than 20 touches. It's all I talked about on Friday. I don't want to see it again. I never thought, why would we have to campaign for Derrick to get the ball? I'm a little confused about that. I never thought we'd have to say that, but here we are. So we have to go. We have to give Derrick we have to really get it together, because if you look at this, look at the playoff odds right now. These playoff hopes are slipping away. I know that they're still favored. I know that there is this general explanation. They're going to be fine. They have 85% playoff probability right now. Okay. They're still the overwhelming favorites to make the playoffs and win the North. I don't know. They're 1-3. It would be really impressive. I'm rooting for them. They're so fun to watch when they have it going, but, the injuries have me nervous. It's not, they'll figure it out. How do you figure that out? And it's sort of, it remains to be seen if Lamar or Roquan or any of these guys will be ready for the Texans. And by the way, the Texans, CJ really goes through it, but he got a win yesterday. They found a little something, by the way. So they have the Rams after that. Baltimore. So Hammy, am I wrong? They don't have an easier schedule. Does it get easier after that? I thought do we have court change? Do we have the Ravens schedule?
No, on the face of it, you think the Texans game should be a little easier because they're 1-3. But yeah, after watching them yesterday, that's not going to be easy. Then the Rams, then they get that bye to hopefully regroup a little bit. Bears, Dolphins, Vikings. I mean, there's not a lot of easy games in the schedule overall.
Yeah, it might make it easier if they, I don't know, gave the ball to Derrick Henry. Am I like oversimplifying this? What's happening?
No, like they did it on the opening drive. They go right down and score. And then after that, again, I know things happen. I know there were some injuries. I know the Chiefs offense was rolling and they felt they had to answer,
Right.
but it's not like the game got away from them.
Okay.
The game was still very much a game when they could have been feeding Derrick Henry more. And then the game got away from them later because they didn't do that. So it's just, and it's happened each of the last 3 weeks. The Browns game, even, it was the same type of deal. Um, I don't have a good explanation for it. I know you have Lamar and you want the ball in his hands as much as possible too, but man, you got to get 22 the ball way more than that.
And hopefully they do. And then the Chiefs, I'm sure, will chew on and take our victory laps on. And you are I'm sure what are you going to be studying? Because you obviously cover the Chiefs a little bit extra.
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking into exactly what Spags was doing to generate so much pressure because they brought some blitzes, but not as much as you would think with how often they were in that backfield on Lamar. So I'm gonna be going through the tape of that tonight.
Want to go through my takeaways for Eagles Bucks people? By the way, let's talk about the Eagles in the exclusive YouTube break. But Eagles Bucks, the takeaway for me, let's start with the good. Kevin Patullo. Last week, people criticizing him against the Eagle, all this stuff. Okay, he was in his bag, right? He was crushing. He called 12 passes. This is the big one. He called 12 passes to just 4 runs on the Eagles' first 2 drives. Both resulted in touchdown passes from Jalen. Philly builds this huge lead. They're confident. Their passing game's going. Not to AJ, but who cares? They're up there. Jalen was a near perfect 15 for 16 in the first half. I think this was legitimately a big moment of F you, anybody who's saying we can't do it or no Kellen or whatever, or any like concern or worry about what this offense might look or might not look like. And I don't even know why there was concern going into this one. Look at what they're doing. They're like so complete, amazing. And I believe this regardless of what happened in the second half. That's sort of like that little asterisk, I guess, here, even though they won. Jalen didn't complete a pass after the second quarter. And obviously, like, Todd Bowles does his thing. Let's give him respect. He dialed up the blitzes after the half. Of course, he made his adjustments. But if you go back and look at it again, the question would be like, did Philly want to get AJ the Brown too much? I'm sure every analyst is talking about that. I would like to know, maybe we'll ask Patrick Peterson about that. AJ had 2 catches for 7 yards at halftime. The offense rolling points, whatever. Second half, 6 of Jalen's 8 straight incompletions were targeting AJ. And the Bucks, of course, they were doing a good job taking him away. Other guys open on those plays, though, if you look, and we sort of looked at that this morning. And I don't know if it's wrong. Is it wrong to try to get your guy going when you have like a lead like that? I don't know. You don't want to see this happen again, I guess, but you also won the game. And this is, I'm not going to be caught overreacting to the way the second half went. Simple answer as to what went wrong. Eagles got the win anyway. Hamilton, I'd like to see the run game get going just a little bit. Although I did what they did off of with Saquon tush push vibes. Like I saw Patullo said, F you, I'm here. I got my bag is deep. We're good. But I think maybe I don't even know. Actually, I don't think I disagree. Let them do whatever the hell they want. And they do one thing one half, one thing the other half, and who cares because they're winning. And I don't really know what the AJ Brown narrative is. I feel like I just said a bunch of stuff I don't even really believe.
No, I mean, I do think, when we looked at it, there were a bunch of balls that they were trying to force him in that second half. And I think when you do get the luxury of that big lead, that's what was going on. They were just trying to get him going, keep him happy. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it makes this team even scarier that we haven't even seen them play their best football yet. And they're 4-0 with wins over teams like the Bucks and the Chiefs and all of that. So I'm not overly concerned either looking at the grand scope of the season, but it just is interesting the way that unfolded in the second half.
Let's take a break. I'm going to give my actual Eagles thoughts in the break here. We'll be back. We have Patrick Peterson on the show. Maybe I want to find him a job. We'll see what happens. And we'll have Patrick Peterson on the other side. Eagles fans think that I am against them somehow, or There's nothing worse and more annoying to me than when a fan base decides that I don't talk about them or something. And that like anything I say, like you weren't on the show Friday, but we had Trevor Sikkema, who is a Bucks fan.
Mhm.
That's not why he came on the show to like whatever. But he said some stat that I just didn't even about how, the Bucks or the Eagles haven't beaten the Bucks since like, 20 something. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I didn't know that, whatever. That doesn't mean anything. By the way, like those kind of streaks are meant to like be broken. All like that, like if anything, it's like saying a good thing for the Eagles. It's like that can't last. Like they're gonna get. And so I tweeted that, and then all Eagles fans are like, they think it's like I'm not saying, I'm literally objectively saying something. Like when I
Yeah.
tell you that the human head weighs 8 pounds, I'm not telling you you're fat. Like I'm giving you an objective fact. We're not arguing. I'm not giving my like personal opinion on like the diameter of your cranium versus like, I don't even Cro-Magnon something. Like I don't understand how like putting an objective thing out there
Yeah, but you've
correlates to
tweeted
that.
about the Rams last week.
But this
You
brings me
said
to my
Devontae
point.
Adams scored a nice touchdown. How could you do that?
And I did clown on the holding thing because I didn't like the push off. I just didn't like
Oh.
that. And I knew I was like making the world burn. So there's that. I will say, like, I love the Eagles so much. I do. That I understand this feeling because I don't talk about them. But then it's like, why don't I talk about them? Because I just talked about them and it felt to me. And I don't know how to really explain that. It's like every year we pretend that there's something wrong with them the first like 5 weeks of the season, or AJ Brown's reading the book, or whatever like, oh, Sirianni, or you, like, they're fine. I don't want
Yeah.
to waste my breath on these little things when I know that there's like not much to talk about with this 4-0 team, I guess, in my opinion. Like there's not much to talk about right now. I'm bored. I'm bored because you're so good. So you're freaking welcome. No, I'm not talking about you. Is that
And
crazy?
that's why,
Yeah.
like, no, it's not crazy at all. And I think that's why, like you said, that's not a real concern what happened in the second half. Because if they're trying to
I
get
know. I'm
AJ
like,
going, it's not the worst thing. It's not a real concern. And people are going to blow it up into a real concern today. You're going to see it everywhere. But
yeah,
I'm with you.
I
It's
don't know.
not.
How about this? How about we instead just talk about like Jalen doesn't turn the freaking ball over. Everyone's turning. How many
Yeah.
interceptions does he have?
Say.
Who? How about like let's just talk about that today.
Yeah,
If you're going to talk about
none.
anything, but that's boring.
He's intercepted. It's Patrick Peterson. Picked off by Peterson. The touchdown picked off by Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson counted for the Cardinals. Touchdown.
Join now about 8-time Pro Bowl cornerback for the Cards, the Vikings, the Steelers. I'm sick of talking about the Eagles, but maybe we will co-host of the first and podcast, Patrick Peterson, who's kind of retired, but I'm always going to try to find you a job. So let's go.
You're always looking out for me, Kay. How you been?
I'm really good. This NFL season is crazy. These one possession games, I know you're dialed in, you're watching, you're at a whole different vantage point for how you're seeing things now. Of course, having to break stuff down on your podcast. I mean, we saw the second highest scoring tie in NFL history last night. How do you feel about the overtime format, and how would you settle a tie?
Oh, man, they need to change it because that was a really, really good football game last night. And fans don't want to see football games end in a tie. So what the NFL should do is, if the game is still a tie at the end of the regulation of overtime, put the ball at the 20-yard line and play college rules. First team,
Okay.
if they score, you automatically have to go for the 2 point. The opposing team will get an opportunity. If they score successfully, then they get an opportunity to go for the 2 points. Not get the opportunity. You're gonna have to go for the 2 points. And if you get it, and the first team didn't get it, you win.
It seems pretty clear. I feel like you need to just like bark up that tree and get it done. I like that. I like that a lot. You know what I would do? How I would settle a tie? I've said this for like 10 years, since like the first year of Good Morning Football with Nate. I think that when it gets to overtime, you should do tug of war. I think all 53, we can argue about whether or not it's fair to have coordinators and coaches. Let's take owners off the table. In this instance, would the Cowboys with their head coach win a game of tug of war against the Cowboys? Packers v. Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, probably
Packers.
not.
They're younger.
I mean, tug of war. That's like we're almost playing the pro with the Pro Bowl now. Pro Bowl games.
I think that it's just like physical brute strength. You're tired. You've played 4 quarters. Now get everybody, including maybe owners. Maybe Jerry needs to get out there and do a little bit of that to see who wins. I personally, that's what I'll always root for. But I like your rules a lot. Let us know what you think at Up and Adam Show. Patrick Peterson with a savant take on how we should fix things and adjust them for the better of the game. Honestly, okay. So the story this morning, obviously, Cowboys win. Beautiful. They're not dead yet. They had a little something, but this defense with the Packers. I don't know how closely you've watched it all season, but they crush at home and then they leave home and they really look like a different defense. What is going on?
Man, that's the strange thing about the last 2 weeks with the Green Bay Packers that they started out real hot. Even Michael Parsons didn't even play that much in those first 2 games. And, there was really a really successful, aggressive defense in the last 2 weeks. They just haven't been there. I mean, they was that up until late into the Cleveland, in that Cleveland game. But last night, it was just way too many big plays that was given up. But this is also a really good offense that they went up against. I know CeeDee Lamb wasn't there, but they had an opportunity to get Williams in the running game going and kept that defense on their heels. And anytime you're able to run the football effectively, that makes the passing game a little bit more open for you. And we all know what Dak Prescott can do when he is throwing the ball and when he does have time to throw the ball. And now he have one of the best 50-50 ball catchers down the field in George Pickens, who had a huge game as well. So, if Dallas is going to score points, they're going to put points up, in my opinion, against the best of them. They didn't do it against the Chicago Bears last week, but their makeup, they can put up, 30 to 40 points a game. It's just going to come down to the defense if their defense can stop anyone.
You love Pickens. I Googled this morning, Patrick Peterson, George Pickens, and you were a Steeler. You were there with him. How does that feel to watch him thrive like this?
Man, it was good to see GP, do his thing last night at a high level because, I had an opportunity to practice against him every day, watch it from the sideline up close in person, and now it just seemed like he's in a great headspace, and that's good for him. You know what I mean? And that's when you're able to play your best football, when you're thinking clearly, and it just seems like he's in a happy place right now, and I'm happy to see him balling right now as well.
Do you think, as watching, and obviously it was the early game in Dublin, and Aaron Rodgers clearly looking at DK Metcalf off and some crazy touchdowns, crazy connection, do you think the Steelers will end up missing George?
No, because they got a guy in DK Metcalf that can do, just as more as George. DK Metcalf, you can move him around in the offensive scheme a little bit more to where, when George was there, he was primarily just the X receiver. You know what I mean? So you can game plan a little bit more with DK Metcalf versus George Pickens. DK Metcalf is a little bit bigger, far as structurally wise, but they both can make guys miss. That's the thing about George. He's a slender receiver, but he has a lot of yards after the catch. He's not running through anybody, but he does have the ability to break tackles. But I think they end up getting a great trade-off in receivers. So that's why I truly believe they will not miss George just because of they got a DK Metcalf on their team.
I think I'm thinking of a world in the playoffs, and they are like crushing it in the AFC North. Why not both? Like if they had
it was
both,
no way they were going to have both of those.
There's no way.
Yeah, no way.
Well, I'm just looking like outside of DK, Calvin Austin's hurt now. Then you've got, Kenneth Gainwell's like their second best offensive player. I wonder if I'm just setting the table. I wonder if down the stretch they're going to miss George, who absolutely thrived, and they crushed these Packers. I'm still on these Packers defense. I did not think that they'd give up 40 points. I'm plugged in with this fan base. The secondary was a question going into this season. What are your thoughts? They got rid of Jair. Jair not exactly thriving in Baltimore, so you can't say they shouldn't have done that because he's got to get on the field and do his thing. Do they need help with the secondary? And does that help Patrick Peterson?
There you go, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
You said Green Bay, right?
Yeah, but Green Bay,
Yeah.
this is a Super Bowl contender, right?
Yeah, Green Bay.
Is this a Super Bowl secondary? That's my question.
Is this a Super Bowl secondary? Uh, Honestly, they have Super Bowl talent in their secondary, and they shown flashes in the first 2 weeks of the season. Now it just they're they're not getting as much pressure as they was in the beginning of the season, and maybe you know they just caught teams at the wrong time. They shown that they can be a championship caliber secondary. So maybe we have to wait and see what they continue to put forth and put on tape moving forward, and showing if they are or not a championship caliber defense. But from what I've seen early on in the season, they shown me championship caliber secondary play. Just not last night. Last night was unacceptable.
At home, they do. Away,
Yeah.
they don't. And it looks like it's like night and day or something. Well,
Yeah,
is there something to that?
They got to have as a secondary, they got to build a mindset of we walking into your trap, taking over your trap. That's what, especially as a defensive player, that's always been our mindset as anyway. Wherever we're going, because we love playing on the road more than playing at home anyway, because we feel like the advantage is on our side now, because now the crowd is quiet. We can communicate with one another. Now we should be all dialed in and to put forth our best effort into winning this game. So I don't know what it is about the Green Bay Packers leaving home, but they gotta change their mindset for sure.
It's a mindset thing, like a toughness thing.
Yeah.
Patrick, I don't know. Here come the Chiefs. Everyone's Chiefs. Here they come, and it's Spags. He's unbelievable. Can anybody make Lamar look like what he looked like yesterday other than Spags? I don't think so. Why is that? What is it that seems to put him off of his game in the eyes of Spags and in the eyes of Patrick Peterson? 147 passing yards against the Chiefs.
I know, man. You know who took a page out of Spags' book was Kevin Shepard, because they played him the week before. And they sacked him 7 times, forced him into a couple of turnovers. But, Spags he's used to him. You know what I mean? They played each other, I want to say almost 8 times, you know what I mean? And every time, they play against one another, Lamar has a long day, because they understand if you are responsible in your rush lanes, and don't allow him to get outside of the pocket, and the interior guys continue to, be responsible in their rush lanes, that it makes it harder for him to be successful. Because once Lamar Jackson, once he's moving and his eyes are still downfield, that's when he's elusive, because now he has, options, to run or pass the ball. Now, when he's backing up in the pocket and trying to maneuver in the pocket, and his eyes are down, and then next thing you know, you have a spy on him, that's when you pretty much have him in the bottle. And that's what Spaz does each and every time that he have an opportunity to put forth a game plan against a Lamar Jackson. And like I said, Kevin Shepard did the same thing against him in that Monday night game last week. So Spaz has always had the blueprint. Kevin Shepard seems to have the blueprint. Now let's see if the rest of the NFL has caught on to that blueprint to try to slow Action Jackson down.
Let's take a look. Do we have Super Bowl odds control room? Can we show those? Ravens haven't changed much. They have so many injuries. Now you got Lamar banged up. They've got here. I'm looking at, so the Ravens still very much in the mix. So, there's a case to be made that the Steelers should have better odds than the Ravens right now. They're crushing it. Do you agree with that? I'm looking at the Steelers and where they are, even just to take the North. I don't know. The Ravens are odds on favorites to win the division. Their odds haven't changed. Who do you like here?
Who I like on this list, it's hard to go against the defending champs right now, because it just seemed that they just can find any way to win ball games at this point. Buffalo is not a bad pick, but on this list right now, just initially looking at it, I like underdogs. So I wouldn't be I'll take the Rams as my underdog pick on being in the Super Bowl.
Talk to me, Patrick. Why the Rams? I love this. Tell me.
Matthew Stafford, man. Anytime that I played against Matthew Stafford, he's like my all-time favorite quarterback to go up against, just because his mentality, the way he's able to manipulate coverages, the safeties, his competitive edge, the big arm, his accuracy. And quite frankly, he has a little bit, well, back in the day when we was playing against each other, he's a little older now, but he had a little bit of, athletic ability as far as mobility to get away from pressures. And what he was able to do in Detroit year in and year out, just to me was always remarkable. And now seeing what he's doing in Los Angeles ever since he's gotten there with Sean McVay and his mastermind play calling. That's another guy who I hated going up against when I was in Arizona. The defense is young, aggressive, and playing the way that they're playing. Man, this can be a very, very dangerous football team. We saw what they did last year, what they had to do late to get into the playoff and end up losing to the Philadelphia Eagles last year. Got a little banged up. Should have beat the Philadelphia Eagles this year. They let that game slip away in the fourth quarter. But this is I believe this is a dangerous football team just because of Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams, and Sean McVay calling plays.
By the way, you're 5-4 against Stafford. 2 picks in your career. Listen, I got the
leg up.
Yeah, exactly. It's not new to me that offensive players love playing with Stafford. It's not new to me that other quarterbacks, like Caleb Williams, is like, that's my favorite. Like, I love that. They're all obsessed with Matthew Stafford. I don't know that I've ever heard a corner say that Stafford's their favorite. So I think it says a lot about you that you enjoyed that matchup, because he's tough, he's brutal, and he's a dog.
Yes, indeed. That is.
So that's your underdog pick. I know how you feel about going up against him, a competitor, a wily vet. When it comes to going up against a rookie, Jackson Dart came in there, stole the show, did the dance in the end zone. And I know that your co-host, by the way, a friend of mine, Andrew Filipponi, he predicted that the Giants would upset the Chargers.
He did.
Yeah. What from your eyes, and just take me into, like, from your eyes, what was the most impressive thing about the win, if anything? Or don't give him love because he's a rookie.
Yeah, honestly, the most impressive thing, because he had a solid game. He didn't have like an eye-popping game or anything like that. The most impressive thing to me was the swag, the energy, the fire, the passion.
Why does that matter?
You said, why does it matter? Because it carry over to your teammates. Like, you don't want to, like, especially you want to see your young quarterback get in there and play with no fear. Like, regardless what the situation is right now, we're 0-4. Like, we're putting the keys we putting the keys in your hands right now. Go out there and show us what you got. And like I said, he didn't play his best game, but what came with that? He still had energy. He still had passion. He gave that team juice. Scatterboo as well. Now, before Dart got in there, I felt that Scatterboo was the pulse and the life and the heartbeat of the offense. Now you got 2 guys in there sharing that same passion, that same fire. Now the defense is starting to pick it up. Now the offensive line maybe want to, block a little bit better now, just because they don't want to get, the spark plug, taken out of the car. You know what I mean? So that's what he pretty much, for me, that was the most impressive thing. Now I know he's only going to get better from here, because looking very comfortable running the football and ending up with 50-something odd yards.
Tough defense. Didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, didn't turn the ball over. Just want to be a little bit more mindful when he is in open field because of what he means to the football team. But I just love the swagger that he played with.
Did Russell ever have that?
You said what, Kate?
Did Russell Wilson ever have that?
Have that job?
That swagger. That thing that you're saying is so important. You faced him a lot.
Russell had it in Seattle for sure.
He had it.
He had it.
What happened to it?
Man,
what happened?
And I'm not gonna go on a train of bashing, because I've been seeing a lot of things that's been going out there. But how Russell Wilson played when he was in Seattle
Mm-hmm.
I always said it was backyard football. Like he always never threw anything on time, never, it made it harder for defensive backs. So as a defensive back, I'm used to covering the receiver for 4 to 5 seconds tops.
Right.
When you're playing a vintage Russell Wilson's, man, you got to have it in your mind that you're going to be covering these receivers for 7, 8. I can remember one time we had to cover a receiver for 13 seconds. We sat on the plane and timed it. But from the time he said hut and from the time the ball left his hands. So that made it hard for defensive backs and defenses to really, capture him, because now the receiver's not running routes. They're just running to get open. We don't know what the heck, what area of the field that he's going to run in. Russell Wilson was young enough to get away and elusive enough to get away from most defensive linemen. You know what I mean? So that is what made his game so different. And the older that he got, the athletic ability left him. And like I say, he was never a quarterback who threw the ball on time in the pocket. And the older that he got, he had to rely on that. And he's already a shorter guy. So if you're a shorter guy, you can't really see what's over the offensive lineman, you're not going to trust the throw. So that's why you always see him leaving the pocket, trying to see who's down the field.
Letting Russ be Russ.
Exactly. But the age catch up at some point.
So this is the question, right? It's like coaches, it seems like his stops have been in places where, like a Sean Payton, a Tomlin, they want to provide structure. Mm-hmm. So then it becomes, is it too much and they should just let Russ be Russ? Or is he at the age where he cannot do it anymore? What's your answer to that?
I feel like, and I was at this point in my career, I just feel like he's at the age he can't do it anymore. Yeah. Even at the first play when he got in for Jackson Dart, took a sack.
Interesting. I'm trying to think of, like, as a fan, like, what's the lesson in this? Because like other quarterbacks too are like, what? Like, I just like, it makes me a little sad.
The biggest thing is he can throw the ball. That's not the problem. The thing is he's a shorter quarterback who can't see over the offensive lineman. So that's why the ball never comes out on time. Like, that's why bigger structured quarterbacks going to last in the league a little bit longer, because they can see where the receiver is. They can see where the linebacker is. So now they're trusting their throw versus second guessing their throw and trying to leap out of the pocket to find an open receiver. That's how most offenses don't work like that. There's a progression that you have to go through. And Russell right now is having a problem or trouble going through the progression because of his structure.
And people are now debating, like, his legacy back in, like, Seattle.
Nah, I don't think that should be a debate, because this is a team sport, and Russell had to make big throws in those games. He had to, have some miraculous comebacks. He had to make, Marshawn Lynch had to make some runs. The defense had to make some stops. Like that, it's a collective thing, and yes, he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, those are important words coming from you, somebody who faced him, somebody who's saying that.
Yeah, I don't think with him going to other teams, will damage his legacy. I don't believe that. I mean,
it is one of those. It's like the Belichick-y thing, though. It's like, oh well, can you do it without Tom? Can you do it without that defense? But, like, I guess we're not factoring in, timing, opportunity, age, like you're saying. You know who else isn't a tall quarterback that I can't wait to ask you about?
Who?
Brock Purdy. He's not a tall quarterback. You were in this division a long time, and people are correlating even that with these turnovers that are happening. He comes back, fumble. He had 2 turnovers. They lose the game. And what sucks the most is that he's already polarizing. And you have Mac Jones on one leg crushing Arizona. Your team, I'm sure you watched that game very closely. Being able to see in that pocket's a big deal. Where are you at with Brock Purdy? And Niners fans are listening.
It's the same thing, man. And when you don't have the luxury of the running game, because the 49ers is all their passing game is predicated off their run game. So they love to play action and run those bang eights and those 7 routes. Every quarterback who came through there is Kyle Shanahan offense. is running the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's just all predicated off the eye candy, the motions, and the running game. So if that's thrown off, and at least when I was playing, the quarterbacks always had trouble throwing the ball outside the numbers, like meaning just throwing straight go balls. Like you never really see the 49ers just run a straight go ball, where they did get one on me, and it was in the red zone. So I will say that, because I know somebody goes, "Oh, look what Brandon Ayuk did to you." Oh, but I'm good. I got thick skin. That don't bother me at all. Anywho, they just don't throw the ball down the numbers. They make majority of their plays running 7s and bang 8s. So if you're taking those throws away, forcing the quarterback to beat you with their left hand, it makes his job harder, because he's a shorter quarterback. All those shorter quarterbacks have trouble reading, especially if they don't trust that the throw is there. That's why if the running game's not there, that's why you rarely see the San Francisco 49ers complete that pass, because now you don't have the linebackers being sucked up into the run action or thinking that you're about to run, so that area is vacated. So that's a great system, honestly, for Brock Purdy. That's probably the best system as far as getting the ball out for a little quarterback in the pocket, 100%.
Well, I mean, $50 million is a lot to pay. This is the discourse today for someone who, I guess we're saying, has natural limitations.
Yeah, he does.
And then Mac looks good. How soon do you think do you think there's a possibility for like a quarterback controversy here if this continues?
If you have enough, well, yeah, I honestly think it can be, because if he go out there and fumble the ball, twice and turn and throw 2 interceptions, yes, I think it can be.
You think Mac Jones, he looked good?
Yeah, he looked real good in the offense, man. Looked in control. Had a great comeback against my Arizona Cardinals last week, or the week before last, and again. He's one of those quarterbacks that's very strong in the pocket, and he was making those contesting throws with those bang gates that Kyle Shanahan, all passing game and signature, known for. Because now he has the confidence to see where the linebacker is, putting a touch on the ball to get it over the linebacker's fingertips. So yeah, he looked real good in the Saints versus the Saints and the Arizona Cardinals.
They have the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Oh, shit.
It's going to be a big one, man.
Those are always insane. And then they have Tampa, which they made some mistakes yesterday, but they'll give them hell. That'll be a fun one for the Niners as well. But that's a little, I don't know if I want the quarterback controversy. I want him to, but by the way, the interceptions are crazy. Like it's like 19, Brock has 20 in the last 19 starts. Going back to 2023, like that is, we gotta
that's
work
a big
on
number.
that.
That's a CJ Stroud number right there.
Yeah. Oh, that's a little tough. You're funny. Liam Cohen, by the way, and Robert Saleh, they had a little fight after the game. Did you see this?
I did see that. Can
you explain this to me? Because go ahead.
I heard that Robert Saleh accused Cohen of sign stealing or something like that.
Yeah, so these are Saleh's sign-stealing remarks. Here it is, but let's take a listen to what he said earlier in the week that I think led to this. Oh, we don't have it. Okay, here it is. Okay. Is Liam justified here to be pissed about this?
Hey, I love it, though. He said what he said and kept it moving. Is
Liam justified?
He said, keep my name out your mouth. Yeah, he's justified it, man. I mean, especially if it's not true. If you sending out, putting out dirty laundry, man, that's bad business, because that's obviously questioning a coach's integrity. And and he said what he said, keep my name out your mouth. And they got the win too. Oh man, he was standing on business.
I know. I like this. I like this Jags. I like this Liam Cohen. I like it. I like him a lot. I like everything that's going on with them. I wanted to ask you, just to go back to the Giants game quickly. Odell was tweeting I mean, Malik Neighbors went down. It sort of adds to how impressive what Jackson Dart was able to do, right? Without his number one wide receiver leading the game, all of that. But Odell was saying, I don't know if do we have the tweet? I think we do. Yeah, here it is. I mean this with the utmost love and respect. We, the NFL, take all the precautions in the world with everything else when it comes to players' health and safety. Please, please, please get rid of the turf. Thank you in advance. So he's calling for that. Where do you stand on this, like turf versus grass?
Yeah, I'm a grass guy, but turf had nothing to do with that play. He just went up. It's a non-contact, injury. He planted and went up for a ball. He was in perfectly stride. It wasn't like he had to make a cut or anything like that. But I'm definitely on the grass tip. I always, since I've been playing football until I got into the NFL, we played on grass, and I always felt like grass was the best surface to play on. It's faster, it's softer, it's better for softer on your joints, and it was nothing like to see some grass stains on your uniform as well. So it was. I thought that was always cool. But yeah, I'm a grass guy. Never really been an AstroTurf or whatever they want to call it now, just because of the burns that you get on your skin, the way it makes your body feel after games. Like it really pays a toll on you. It really does. So I'm more natural grass.
When you start saying that you're a grass guy, you're like remembering the grass stains on your uniform.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that makes me think somebody could call. And we could get this done. I talked to Calais last week, and I said, because they were having some secondary injuries, I go, so who called who first? You to Patrick, or Patrick call you and say, put in the good word for me? I love what is happening for him. I like the story for him to get to finish his career, hopefully there, right?
Yeah, man, that's big time.
Does that do anything to you though, Patrick? I don't want to talk about Calais. I want to talk about you.
A look at the time it did, because for me, being the competitor that I am and knowing that I still had, some game left in me, and, I didn't have an opportunity to finish on the field with the team that I started with. I did kind of feel a certain type of way, but at the same time, I understand the business and understand at my position, they definitely want younger guys, and that's a little bit more twitchier because of the receivers that are being produced out of from the college level. So I understood it, and I felt like I could have played one more year with the Cardinals, but it is what it is.
Were we talking about when were you? This was 2 weeks ago when they needed help, or this was in the off season?
No, this was in the off season.
Okay, and nothing since. No.
No. I told them when I did
the Ravens could hang out with you. The Chiefs, I feel like, could use a little something.
Yeah, Kate. Once I did my retirement speech there, and I retired a Cardinal, I told them my cement is dry, and I have not put a pair of cleats on since November of 24.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to lace them up because the Packers in January might need you.
Nah, Packers, I'm gonna be on the couch.
You're only 35, Patrick.
I know, but
get it together.
Hey, the candlelight is blown.
All right. I don't know. It is, but then I see these little glimmers of you with thinking of it. We're going to clip this off and just hold on to it, and we'll see what the future holds. I think you could go out there and absolutely crush for a contending team. Outside, who's the best corner right now? I wanted to ask you that before we leave. Whose game are you loving?
Man, I'm really loving what Quinyon Mitchell is doing for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Crazy.
I love the attitude that he has. I love the aggression that he plays with. He's always in the receiver face, looking for action. Got in an altercation with an offensive lineman yesterday in that Tampa Bay win. But just a stud, just a dog, man. And I love, like I said, I love the attitude that he brings to the game. I got a couple other guys. I got to give a shout out to my guy Derek Stingley, an LSU guy who's always played big time since he's been in the league, and also the reigning defensive MVP, Pat Surtain, the third Floridian. So my fellow Floridian brother from the Sunshine State. Who's playing big ball as well for the Denver Broncos. So those are my three
Okay.
guys who I like to watch today play the cornerback position.
We're taking a TV break with Patrick Peterson. We will, of course, remain live on YouTube here. You just mentioned the Broncos, but I will say, I'm looking at the stat line right here. Klingon had 5 PBUs.
Yeah.
Yesterday, that's in one game. That is crazy. Gosh, I love to see that. People are making a lot of AJ Brown's stat line. Yep. Here's Quinn. By the way, our graphics wizard is a huge Eagles fan, as you can tell. He had this ready to pop up for you. Oh yeah, let's go full. Let's just love on this right now. I love this. AJ Brown. People want to say he's not getting the ball enough. It's always a story. I'm not interested in it. It's like that and the tush push to me are like snoozers. They're going to be fine. They're 4-0. There's not a story. What do you make of AJ Brown's involvement? Should he be more involved? Did you feel like they were trying to feed him the ball in the second half?
I mean, they was trying. It just seemed like the passing game haven't really been there for the Philadelphia Eagles thus far. But like you talked about, they just find ways to win games, and it's just boring to a lot of people who are not Philadelphia fans. But whatever is called upon for them to win a football game, that's how they're going to win it. Point blank, period. And they tried to get AJ in the game yesterday. Hell, he didn't. Jalen didn't even complete a pass in the fourth quarter to any receiver. So it wasn't like he just didn't find AJ Brown. Right. He couldn't find any of the receivers. So I really feel like this team will get the passing game going because they've shown week in and week out a heart of a champion. And probably once they come out of this bye week, I'm almost guaranteeing you that AJ season should start ramping up.
Yeah, I feel like they just win and we haven't even seen this team be complete, and they're still crushing contending teams like the BUCS, and they're capitalizing on mistakes. And Jalen is not turning the ball over. He has 0 interceptions. Nobody's talking about that. We had all these great quarterbacks. Herbert's thrown 2 yesterday in a loss. You got like 2, a Brock with 2. And then here you have Jalen just like smooth as can be. And their passing game was working in that first half. I want to ask you about tonight because you mentioned the Broncos. It's Broncos-Bengals. I love Pat Surtain. Like, can do no wrong in my eyes. And he gets the premier matchup, right? Going back to college, him and Jamar. Last time Jamar was saying some funny stuff this week about how he still had 100 yards on them. He loves them at whatever. There's a lot of respect for each other. When you're when you're in that kind of premier matchup, bright lights, right? Monday Night Football, and it's a backup quarterback. Like, what's going through Surtain's mind that it is Jake Browning? Is it like more pressure that if you do not let Jamar have a 100-yard game with a backup quarterback, like what are the kind of things in facing a Jake Browning, or is Patrick thinking about ahead of this matchup?
Well, first and foremost, you got to love the matchup. Being known as the best corner in the game, being the defensive player of the year last year, and going up against arguably, probably the best, if not the best, one of the best receivers in the game in Jamar Chase. I feel like it's a 1A and 1B in Justin Jefferson, but who am I to say? Both of those are my LSU guys, but you got to love the matchup first and foremost, because this is why you play the game. These are moments that you live for and want to have your legacy continue to be built. So I'm going into this game knowing that he has a backup quarterback, that I may get more opportunities than I would have gotten if Joe Burrow was in the game. You know what I mean? Because the backup quarterback always feel like is one guy who they trust the most, and they're just going to feed him the ball regardless, because at the end of the day, they ain't got nothing to lose but their job, because they already started the season as a backup. So they're going to try to give themselves the best odds, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to trust their number 1 receiver over who's ever guarding them. So I'm thinking that I'm going to get more opportunities than I probably would have gotten if Joe Burrow was in the starting lineup. So I'm going in this game super dialed in, super sharp, and making sure that I understand Jamar Chase each and every move and in his routes and in the different positions that he's going to be lined up in, because they do a great job of moving him around. So I'm going to be extremely locked in and focused on knowing that I'm going to get a bunch of targets in this game.
And it's more pressure because it is a backup. So you're supposed to make a play. You're supposed to look at everything the Browning kids. It's not Joe Burrow. So you better be cashing in. Do you think Jamar has a 100-yard game tonight?
Yes, because I think they're going to find ways to get Patrick off him. I mean, offenses now are too good, and schemes now are too good to really have those marquee matchups play in and play out. You know what I mean? I can just remember when I had those opportunities. I can remember 2011 and 2012 when I had those matchups. Receivers was all just stationary. They was all either going to be on the left side or the right side. As I started getting better with my man-to-man skills and carrying that responsibilities, they started motioning guys. They started putting them in the backfield. They started having them in stack releases to where I couldn't get my hands on them. So the game has evolved so much, and it makes it so much harder to have those one-on-one marquee matchups as much as people was used to seeing back in the day.
Patrick, I could just listen to you all day. They're saying thank him. I can't thank you enough. Like, you're just the way you look at the game. It is so special. I think you led the way for the Pat Surtains, Terry and Arnold to have a podcast together. You have one. Everybody needs to check it out. It is First and Pod with your co-host, Andrew Filipponi. It's on Odyssey Network. Listen to it. Get smarter. You're the absolute best. Thank you.
I appreciate you for having me as always, Kate.
Always a pleasure. And I'm so sorry to Odyssey when you return back to the National Football League. All we need is 4 games. We need 4 games in the playoffs. That's all we need out of him. Packers fans, I'm cooking. I'm trying. He's saying no. Listen, let's relax, and hopefully we'll be able to get that done for him. All right, I think we're back. Yes. Okay, here we go, guys. It is time for the Monday night doubleheader. We've got a Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, Broncos secret menu. You can only get these on FanDuel Sportsbook. My favorite one, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to combine for 150 plus chef's kiss receiving yards, 150 plus up against the Broncos. Surtain is there. Surtain cannot cover them both. One of them is going to free up, and you can get that right now at plus 190. Those odds might change because the overlords like to mess with me. So go for it. There's a couple other things. There's secret menu items, so you have to find the tab. You go to FanDuel Sportsbook. You select the game, either game. You find the K Adams MNF menu and have some fun. So I like that combined vibe. Fun game tonight. Find it. Give me a screenshot. I'll retweet it for good luck. Tweet me your bet slips. Let's go. Big thanks to Patrick Peterson. Bye, guys.